Okay, folks, so start today with digital signatures. And that's all we'll study today. Okay, references are these. You can read from the any book. This one paper I've sent to you guys. It's quite old paper, but it gives a good introduction to digital signatures. And I have taken a little bit of content from that paper. This IEEE Potential magazine paper. Okay. So if this clip is from yesterday's Wall Street Journal. This is a newspaper published from New York. It's basically a financial sector newspaper, but also gives a lot of information about other important events. So every alternate day, or almost every day, you find something or other related to cybersecurity. So today I have got this clip or this news that's about use of, it's basically cyber war that's also happening parallelly between US and not only US but also between Ukraine and Russia, and also Russia and US. Okay, so this obviously it has come from American newspaper. It talks about how Russian hackers or group of Russian people, even ordinary people are who are willing to participate in hacking, are actually creating kind of cyber war, with the enemy countries. Okay, so today's wars are not just kind of physical war. It's also cyber war. Okay, of course, Russian cyber groups are very strong, and they have been doing a lot of mischiefs. Okay, and same is true with other countries. There are many countries, right? So very so with like these can cause kind of damage one can't think of. Of course, physical wars or regular wars can cause a lot of damage, can destroy the countries, but this also has potential to severely impact the capability of a nation. Okay, imagine the biggest bank of India is hacked and funds are diverted. Okay, or newspaper websites are hacked and some messages displayed out there, right? So it's just go through this newspaper, this news article, and you may find it interesting. Okay, all right. Okay, we are here. We have completed symmetry encryption, like one-time pad, block ciphers, MAC, hash functions, pseudo random number generator, and then we also complete part of asymmetric key encryption. We have completed public key exchanges, basic concept of asymmetric key encryption. Okay, and then we have completed Diffie-Hellman algorithm. We started Diffie-Hellman, which is very interesting way of two entities exchange something, and finally they come out with a shared common key. Okay, so Alice and Bob can create shared common key using Diffie-Hellman, which of course anybody in between who is reading everything cannot create. Like Mallory cannot create that shared secret key or encryption key or session key. Okay, so asymmetric key, we also studied RSA algorithm, LGAML algorithm we have looked at, and also we have looked at in brief RSA encryption. Okay, so what is left out is digital signature and key management. Password management we have already completed. Okay, so these are the contents. Okay, and please feel free to ask me questions, because I have noticed that you guys are not asking questions. That shows either classes are very boring, you're not able to understand anything, okay, or I'm teaching very fast, or you are able to understand everything. So these are only three things that I can think of. So you need to ask questions because that will also help me in understanding topic better. And as you know that I am not really an expert on cybersecurity, just teaching it for the second time. Okay, so I am also a student in that sense. All right, so now let's start with. Now we have symmetric encryption is very interesting scheme and it's in of use for very long time. Okay, what is the beauty of it? Beauty of it is that it's very efficient. Okay, you can do it at a very fast pace or speed. So for all practical application is very useful. Okay, but the biggest limitation is that key, suppose these are the two ends, the key that we are using here for encryption and same key has to be used for decryption. Same key, right? This has to be the same. Now this causes some issues, you know, how do we exchange keys and so on. Okay, let's assume that even if the key is available at two ends, then there are other problems. Okay, and the problems are as we'll discuss now, and you know it by now. Okay, so we have seen the crypto schemes are good for encrypting data, like we have seen very efficient algorithm like AES and DES, etc. I don't know why did I write RSA. It should not be. Okay, I'm sorry. This is in general about crypto scheme that to encrypt data or to establish shared key like Diffie-Hellman elliptical curve. Okay, so these are the goals of in general cryptography. Okay. Okay. Symmetric key cryptography is not sufficient because there's a need to share a secret key. Okay, this is a limitation, and now the other limitation is that both parties, that's let's assume Alice and Bob, have the same secret key. Now, if that is so, it is very difficult to prove for the third party that one of the participants, that Alice or Bob, have not cheated other. Okay, so this symmetric encryption assumes both Alice and Bob are honest, but that is not always the case. Okay, so if they are interested in cheating each other, symmetric key cannot protect the two parties against each other, and we know the reason, right? Okay, so look at this example, simple example. Alice is a car seller. She owns a dealership for new car where you can select and order new cars online. Okay, Bob is a customer and Alice has shared the secret key KAB. Okay, this is symmetric key. Okay, using Diffie-Hellman key exchange. So basically a session key is available with both. And Bob orders a fancy new car online by filling a form and sending the encrypted form to Alice. Now note that this form is filled in by Bob and he has encrypted it using the key KAB. Okay. So Alice receives this form sent by Bob, decrypts the form and confirms delivery within 3 weeks. Within 3 weeks. In between, Bob exchanges his mind, possibly some reason like maybe his wife doesn't want the car and so on and so forth. And then Bob claims that Alice has generated a fake car order. He has never sent the form. Now, of course, the case will go to a judge. Now, judge has no way to knowing who generated the order. Is there a way? Of course, you can always say that if it's sent through email, then email traces are there and so on. So let's not assume that it's sent through email and so on. It's just sent. And that even then email is sent, it's difficult to prove it has come from the same person, Bob. Okay, what is the issue here? Why they are not able to prove? Why judge is not able to prove that the mail, the form has come from Bob? Anyone?
Because they share the same shared key.
Yeah, so the key is with the both, shared keys with the both, right? So Alice could, if Alice wants, Alice can also generate the same form. Okay. So in this case, it's very difficult to prove. Okay, all right. So digital signatures are the public key algorithms that have the property that are needed to resolve situation of cheating participants. So now in this example, Bob is required to put his digital signature on the form. Simple encryption of the form is not sufficient. Okay, all right. So now we come to digital signatures. We should know what is digital signature. But what is the signature before that? What? In normal world, real world, we are using signatures, right? Where do you sign? We have been signing everywhere. Okay, you go to bank, you need to sign. Okay, if you withdraw cash, then you need to fill a form, sign, give it to the officer, and he or she will give you money. Okay, if you are giving money to somebody, then you need to sign a check, and then you can give it. If you are giving a draft, then that it means that you have already given money to bank, and bank manager has issued a draft, but that draft will have some signature. You go to, say for example, you go to property registration, they need your signature. And before that, just roll back 50 years ago or 70 years ago, like my grandparents' time, signatures were not the thing, right? It was thumb impression. Okay, even I have used thumb impression. Many legal transactions still requires thumb impression. Okay, for example, you go for US visa. Okay, consulate requires your thumb impressions. So what is the unique property of signature?
It's unique to a person.
Pardon?
It's unique to a person.
It's a unique to a person. Very good. So now if it is unique, then one can prove that the form or document on which the person has signed is owned by that person. That's first thing one. The second thing is that the signature belongs to that person. Third is it's unique. A person cannot sign differently on different documents. Now, it can be proven that the document that is signed by me is actually signed by me. If the something, if there is a conflict, then the judge will say, yes, you have signed it. Okay, if somebody has, checkbook can be printed by anybody. Someone has written a check to somebody else and faked your signature, then you can ask bank to prove that it's your signature. And since signatures are unique, there's a good probability that you'll get your money back. Okay, all right. So these are important. So now we are moving from analog world to digital world, right? Everything is becoming digital. So we need to now sign digitally. So digital signature, right? Have you ever did digital signature? Digital signature ever? You need to, right? So far you have not submitted your IT income tax returns. I'm sure none of you, possibly until unless you have lot of, you earn more than 10 lakhs or something, but since you are a student, very unlikely, right? But when you submit IT return, then of course you need to digitally sign it. Or alternatively, you take a printout of return form and then sign it and then submit it. Okay. So now digital signatures are used everywhere because most of transactions are happening digitally, right? We don't go to banks nowadays to withdraw money, right? Or do any transaction. Earlier, I mean, just 20 years back, I used to go to bank every month or every 15 days or something or other. All right. So now digital signatures are becoming very, very important. Now the question is that with all that cryptography topics we have studied, we will have to apply one of that such that we form digital signature of, digital signature. We can do digital signature for a document or for a, say number or some message. Yeah. All right. So digital signatures are required to provide authenticity, integrity, and non-repudiation. This is the most important, right? Integrity we can do with hash, right? Hash function. We can also do with Mac. Okay. Same is true for authentic. Okay. How can you find out the message is not changed or the content is not changed? You take a hash, send message and the hash, okay, to other party, then a person will calculate, do the hash of, find out hash of that received message and compare with the received hash, right? This is a very simple way. Of course, it does not, if there is a man in the middle, then we need Mac. Okay. Digital signatures are also used very heavily. We use in internet because internet is now required for all kind of transactions and communication of documents, etc. Right. So it means that it's required for e-governance and e-commerce. All right, and these are very widely used. So digital signatures in electronic signatures authenticate the identity of the sender, the identity of sender of a message, right? If there is a message that is digitally signed, then who has sent that message? The identity of sender can be ascertained with digital signature. The second is the signer of the document, the one who is signing the document. Okay. So note that there's subtle difference, the sender and the signer, and ensure the original content of the message. If it's digital signature is there for a message, right, and there's a digital signature, it means that when it's received, then it should ascertain the same message is received. Okay, unchanged. So if it received message m dash, then m dash has got to be equal to m. Okay, so other properties are digital signatures are easily transportable. It means that you can do transaction over internet. and these can't be imitated by somebody else. So nobody else. See, Alice is sending a document to Bob, which is digitally signed. In between, if the Mallory is there and she intercepts this, she should not be able to change the signature. Or Mallory by herself cannot create a document and sign for Alice and send it to Bob. Okay, so these properties are to be there. So nobody should be able to generate a document and sign or create a fake signature, that of Alice, and send it to Bob. Okay, digital signatures are usually automatically time stamped. All right. It means at what time, the message or content or something that is to be signed has been signed. Okay, time of signing is also there. So obviously from this we can find out characteristics of digital signature is authenticity. It can convince recipient of authenticity, unforgeable, non-reusable. So once we had signed on a document, we cannot move the signature to another document. You understand? Now this comes from the property that signature depends on the content of the message. Okay, so this signature, digital signature, is based on that. So if you change the content, then signature will change. Okay, it does not mean you take this signature and put it in another document, say M dash, and attach this old signature here. That's not allowed. Okay, signed document is unalterable. It means that if document, we cannot change this document and attach earlier generated signature. That's not the case, right? Okay, and it can't be repudiated. Basically, it has a property of non-repudiation. So it means the signer cannot later claim that he or she didn't sign it. So Bob has sent something with a signature. Bob wants to buy a car and is selling car. So Bob signed a purchase form, put his digital signature on the form, sent it to Alice. Then of course Bob cannot claim that this form he has not sent. Okay, any question? Okay, let's move on then. Okay, so what all we need is we need a signing key, which is nothing but private key. Okay, so here we are using asymmetric cryptography. So Bob will generate two keys, private key and public key. Okay, private key we also call it here as signing key. So now Bob generates these two and then uses a private key or signing key over message and send this to Alice. So okay, sends what? Sends okay. So using signing key, get signature and then sends message M and signature. These two he sends to Alice. So originator sends the message and its digital signature to a recipient. The recipient uses a verification key, which is a public key of sender. So Bob's public key is available. So once Alice receives this, okay, she uses Bob's public key. Okay, Bob's public key and decrypt it. Okay, decrypt what? Decrypt the signature. And then it verifies origin and integrity. So it steps will discuss now. Okay, all right. Asymmetric cryptography is good because you don't need to share secret key. Okay, digital signatures are a symmetric way of providing integrity and authenticity. But here there is an assumption that Alice and Bob have public keys. Okay, it means the Bob's public key is available with Alice. Okay, there's a okay, this will come later. So basically it has 3 steps. First is generate key. Now here we say that there's a key generation function and it generates key pk and sk, which pk is public key, or we call it verification key, and sk is secret key or private key. Okay, then signature Bob signs with his own secret key or private key on a message and gets a signature, sends this M along with signing okay, signs a message using signing key and sends this message and signature to Alice. What Alice gets it is message M and signature. Okay, and she also has Bob's public key. Using Bob's public key, she can find out whether the result is 0 and 1. Okay, it means that if the key is or signature is verified, then everything is fine. Okay, otherwise there is something wrong. Okay, so she will verify signatures on message M using verify key, that's a public key of sender. Okay, all right, any question? Something that comes to your mind is, what is this verify function, right? What Alice has received is message M and what is signature. Now in order to generate signature, okay, what Bob has done is that Bob has taken M and did some function and used his private key. So when I say this outer box, it means that it's just, so with private key, what we can do? Private we can just encrypt using asymmetric key encryption. But note that if we just simply encrypt the message, the signature will also be very big, right? And it will be very slow. Because if message size is big, then encrypted message will also be big, and asymmetric encryption is slow, so it will be slow, right? So we have to do something more than that. And when Alice receives this, she can verify the signature. So we'll come to these. So these are the 3 properties, which is correctness, efficiency, and security. Okay, all right, so we'll skip that. Okay, so these steps are here. First is, now here is Bob. Okay, so what Bob does is, he takes some security parameters, etc. So basically it generates a key. Okay, it generates a key pair, private key and public key. Okay, then what Bob does is that Bob uses his private key or signing key and looks at the message and generates a signature. Now here we are not telling that it is just plain encryption. It could be something more than that, right? So one signature is available, he will send the message and signature and the private key. Because the important thing is Alice has got to have public key of Bob. Okay, now Alice receives Bob's public key, signature and the message, and then can verify whether signature is true or false. Okay, any question?
No, sir.
Okay, all right. So now let's look at,
Excuse
yeah.
me, sir. Yes, sir. Sir,
Yes.
as even though Ibar Mallory cannot modify the message between Alice and Bob, but he can also read that message. So it does not satisfy the confidentiality. Am I right?
Yes, we are not talking about confidentiality yet. We are just talking about signature thing, right? A lot of scenarios you don't need confidentiality. We can do a lot of other things for confidential. We'll see in this lecture, right?
Okay.
Confidentiality is surely is not. Now we just want to get digital signature. Once we get digital signature, we can then extend this for confidentiality, right? Okay, very good. Good observation. So this is the scenario. Bob has message M. Bob uses his private key, and then there is algorithm for digital signature generation, and then Bob gets his own digital signature. He attaches this to message M, okay, and sends it on some channel which may not be secure channel, okay, and then Alice receives this. Okay, what she gets digital signature and M, and now based on the M and the Bob's public key, she verifies whether a signature is valid or not. Okay, that's very simple. Okay, and simple thing is possible is that here you can just do asymmetric encryption of message M. Message M, how do you say, public key, private keys S Bob, and M encrypt this. Okay, this could be very a simple signature S. Okay, and at when Alice receive this, what will she do? She will take this and use public key of Bob and decrypt it, and then compare it with message. That's one simplest possible, but is very complicated, right? Because size of signature and size of message would almost be same. And there's a lot of work Alice has to do for even for comparison and decryption. Okay, so better scheme is that we can use hash here. So what Bob does is that his message M, he hashes using known cryptographic hash function, and of course this same hash function is known to Alice, right? So both have to use the same hash function, and from that he gets H, which is nothing but message digest of message M. We have studied this cryptographic hash function, right? Okay, now Bob uses his own private key to encrypt this. So now note that Bob is not signing. Bob is not encrypting using private key the original message, but hash of the message, and there's a signature. Now note that there is a determinism here. If any number of time Bob signs message M, same message M will get the same value of H, and once encrypted with its own public key, private key, will get the same signature. Okay, now then the Bob sends M and S to Alice. Okay, so Alice receives M. Okay, and Alice also receives S signature. Okay, what Alice does is now she does hash of message M. So she gets small h. Okay, and then S, which is encrypted version of S is encrypted version of H. She uses public key of Bob and gets H dash. Okay. Now she compares both H and H dash. If they're the same, then signature is valid, otherwise not. So Mallory in between now changes M or signature then Alice should be able to find this out. Okay, how will it happen? Right, let's assume that Alice in between Mallory changes message M to say M double dash. Okay, then she does not have private key of Bob. Okay, now she will use some key, private key, her own private key. That's Mallory's private key, right? Okay, and she will generate a signature, say S double dash. And when Alice receives this and she decrypts it with Bob's public key, then she will come to know that there's something wrong. Okay, because now she will also receive M double dash, and she will do hash function, and then you know, the hash she receives. Okay, and the ones she receives by decrypting this using Bob's public key would be, this will be different. Okay, okay, that's how Mallory cannot change a message or signature here, because now note that non-repetition is coming because of private key of Bob. Okay, are you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Okay, now let's look at the security properties. Okay, now the signed message can be unambiguously tracked back to its originator, and we can prove that signing party has generated the message. However, as you know, digital signature don't provide confidentiality, because message M is being sent in text or clear. All right. Okay. So the requirements are these. I will just skip it. Please go through these, which are nothing but signature must be a bit pattern that depends on message being sent. So signature is always depend on the message that is being sent. If you change the message, signature will change. Okay, when you sign on a check, okay, then suppose you sign a check to me that I give Ravi 1 lakh of rupees, that you know that you're signing it, your signature, and then next day you say that I'm giving you 50,000 rupees. Your signature may same, but you have the implicit knowledge what you're signing. In the form of digital signature, the signatures is dependent on the content. Okay, here also you're signing with conscious decision that suppose you write instead of 1 lakh of rupees, you write 100 crore or 1 million or 100 million. Then obviously you won't sign. Okay, so here the signature depends on the bit pattern, or the signature depends on the message. Okay, and signature must be some unique information unique to the sender. What is uniqueness here? Uniqueness here is a private key of sender. Now two senders cannot have same private key because these are randomly generated and very unlikely, and the set in which is generated is very big, so very unlikely that two sender will have same unique key. Okay, so it should be very easy to produce digital signature, easy to recognize and verify. It means the algorithm must be efficient. Okay, it should not be possible for Mallory to forge a signature, and of course we should be able to retain a copy of digital signature. And so these are the important requirements. And please go through this text. If you go to this link, you will learn about how actually digital signature happens in life. Okay, lot of what are the algorithms to do that? Okay, so please go through this link. Okay, now there can be many ways of doing this. Most simplest is the direct one, which is between the two parties. Okay, which is sender and receiver, Bob and Alice. Okay, and here the important condition is that recipient knows the public key of the sender. That's a condition. Now, if there is Mallory in between and she changes the public key, this whole algorithm fails. Okay. Okay, this point we have studied. Now, how to provide confidentiality here? Now, confidentiality can be provided by encrypting the message M. Message M can be encrypted, right? Or it can be done in either asynchronous way or synchronous way, asymmetric way or asymmetric way. It can be done with receiver's public key. That's how we have learned. Or it can be done by symmetric encryption by shared secret key. We'll see. We'll look at that example, right? So a sender may later deny sending a particular message by claiming that the private key was lost or stolen. Okay, Bob can say that his private key was stolen and somebody else has, signed the form and sent it. Okay. Okay, so in order to overcome this, a timestamp with every message is sent, right? And so every message is time stamped. Okay, and requiring notification of loss of the key to proper authority. So these are legal issues, legal thing, right? So one can always claim my key is lost and somebody has done the fake signature. In order to do that, it's mandatory that there has to be timestamp, what time it was done, and in case Bob has lost his key, then he informed the authorities. Okay, so these are the two things that are required. Any question? Okay, all right. So now let's look something that's called digital envelope carrying digital signature. So there is a message M. So Bob is sending it to Alice. So Bob has a message M. Okay, he gets a hash of this, gets H here. Okay, which is nothing but message digest. And on that he signs using his own private key. So Bob's private key he uses his own private key and does asymmetric encryption. Okay, and which is it could be RSA or something, and gets the signature. Now what he sends is that the signature he adds to message and sends it to Alice. Okay, now before sending, now he wants confidentiality also, right? Now this message will go in plain, so it can be seen by anybody. He generates a symmetric key. Okay, this symmetric key he generates and then encrypts this with symmetric key. All right. Now all this is encrypted with Bob's symmetric key, SK of Bob. What he does, M plus signature. Okay. Now this symmetric key is also to be sent to Alice. Now he uses this symmetric key and encrypts it with Bob's public key. Okay. Now Bob's, it means that now this key, this is a very simple symmetric key exchange with RSA or any asymmetric encryption method. Now he adds this. So the symmetric key, that is SK of Bob, oh sorry, symmetric key, we call it, say, we can call it with anything, right? Say K, let's say KAB, for example. He encrypts this KAB with Alice's public key. So public key of Alice is PK Alice. Okay, so this this symmetric key he encrypts with Alice's public key and adds to this whatever we have got after this symmetric encryption. So add to this and send this to Alice. So this is signed message. So what all he is sending message M, he is sending then signature. Now he doesn't want this message M to be seen, so he encrypts it with the symmetric key. Okay, symmetric key. Now obviously the symmetric key has to be also sent, so he takes up the symmetric key. Okay, and then encrypts this with Alice's public key. Okay, so this plus this he sends to Alice. Is it clear? Now in
Yes, sir.
between Mallory cannot do anything because you know, all the message is not visible and there's a signature, and then this symmetric key is also encrypted with Alice's public key, and obviously Mallory will not have private key of Alice, so she can't decrypt it. Okay, and this is a reverse function. Once Alice receives this, okay, she will get two things. First is the encrypted symmetric key, an encrypted signed message with signature. Okay, now this is now she needs a key to decrypt it, right? Because it's symmetric encryption. Okay, now she'll decrypts it. The key she has received, symmetric key she received, she decrypts it with her own private key. So this is Alice's private key. Okay, so she gets from this one symmetric key, which she uses to decrypt this message plus signature. Okay, so she, after decryption, she gets message and signature. Okay, now she does hash function. Hash function is known, so she gets message digest. Here from the signature she uses okay, what will she use? Sender's public key. Okay, because that's known to, because sender has got signature using his private key, so she has to use public key to decrypt it. And after decryption she gets this message digest, which is H dash. If H and H dash are same, it means that everything is fine. Okay, any question? So what she is able to get now, Bob is there's a confidentiality. Now note that confidentiality is, we have added extra function here, but it's not really requirement of digital signature. Non-reputation. It's only Bob who has sent this, and integrity. Authenticity also you can say. All right. Are you able to understand? Trisha, are you there? Trisha Bansal? Okay, it's interesting. Okay. Bhavna, can you tell me what's happening here? Bhavna, are you there? That's very interesting. क्या कर रहा है? क्या हो रहा है? Gaurav Yadav, are you there?
Yes, sir.
समझ में आया आपको?
Yes, sir.
Hmm?
Yes.
How are we getting confidentiality here? Yeah, how we achieve confidentiality? Anyone?
Yes, sir.
By encrypting the message using symmetrically.
Okay, all right.
Yes, sir. Just because in the digital signature we are not using the any private key or public key of the recipients or receiver, but in addition to the confidentiality, we are using the public key of the receiver for which we are justifying that.
Confidentiality we are getting because we are encrypting with symmetric key. Okay, and that symmetric key also we are sending. Bob is sending to Alice by encrypting symmetric key with recipient, that Alice's public key, because public key is known to everyone. Okay, now still we have not solved one problem, that how do you ensure that the public key which Bob uses, public key of Alice which Bob uses is genuine public key. In between, Mallory can send her public key also, right? So that problem we still need to solve. Are you able to understand? We are assuming here, we have used this sentence that we are assuming that the public key is available. So if public key is not available, then there's a problem. Okay, the second method is arbitrated digital signature. It means that there is a trusted third party called arbiter, and then we can use that. So we'll not go into this. Okay, so there are commonly used digital signature which are available are based on Algamel encryption method, Schnorr method, NISC digital signature algorithm or DSA. This is quite popular. Elliptical curve digital signature algorithm, which is called ECDSA, RSA digital signature, which is again very popular, and RSA PSS digital signature. Okay, if you are interested, you can go into details, because when we say asymmetric key encryption in general is based on one of these algorithms, right? So obviously this method will also be based on some exchange of parameters. Okay, so you can do read by yourself RSA digital signature, and we can see there is key N, public keys N and E, and private keys D, and then we can sign it using private key of message and so on. So we'll not go into it. And then we have we can use some hardware to generate digital signature, right? We can use, for example, if you go to Amazon and search for iKey, you will get something like this. Or you can do a smart card. So basically something that is to be signed has to be sent in. Okay, and then what you get is something out that is along with signature. Okay, and the private key is there inside, is secretly kept. Okay, so skip this, please go through it if you're interested. Then you go through this, how digital signatures happen in India. Okay, like digital signatures have now same legal significance as that of traditional signed documents. Okay, all right. And there are some certifying agencies to issue digital signatures. Okay, suppose you want to have a document, digital document, and get digital signature on that. Okay, then what can you do as an individual? While I mean, in theory, we have all studied a private key, public key. How can you generate private key, and how you publish your public key? And how can someone trust you for that? Okay, so please go through this. There is a process also involved. Say, for example, when I was serving as a managing director, so I had to sign hundreds of documents. Okay, so my finance department has taken my digital signature. So they were generating digital signature and attaching it to document on my behalf. Of course, had they done anything wrong, I would have been sued. Okay, but that's how it happens. Okay, so there is a process. Okay, usually this process is same in most of countries, but there is a process. So, you know, there are certain parties involved in that. Some agencies are involved in that, right? Please go through this. To summarize, okay, we see that digital signatures are very useful. As we are moving into a digital world, the signature, all of us will have to sign, we'll have to do some kind of digital signature. In fact, we are still doing the digital signatures, and in order to have digital signature, create digital signature, we use hash function and also use private key. Private key is private to us, hence it is used for encryption, which forms our encryption of text that's generated after hash or directly, and that becomes a digital signature. Okay, and its important property is non-repudiation. All right. Okay, you can go through this exercise about how digital signature forgery can happen, etc. All right, thank you.